All right, so we've got some really interesting stuff to dig into
Yeah,
today.
looks like it.
You guys sent us some details on the new gray Union Glashütte Belisar chronograph.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we should just get right into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's break it down and figure out why it
For
matters
sure.
for anyone who really cares about good watches.
Right.
And so I think the first thing to mention is Union Glashütte
Yeah.
is part of this watch group,
Mm-hmm.
which, means they're kind of in a good family.
They are. Yeah, they're definitely in good company there.
And they've got this reputation for making reliable watches.
Yeah, and I think the thing that really stands out with Union Glashütte is they don't just make reliable watches. They make watches that people really connect with.
Yeah.
They have this emotional appeal,
Right.
and they also provide really good value,
Exactly.
which is a combination that's not always easy to find.
Not always easy to find.
So that's one of the things that I think makes them so special. And the Belisar Chronograph series in particular, I think, is a really great example of that,
Yeah.
blending that retro charm with modern engineering.
Yeah, it's a good-looking watch.
Yeah.
And so this new version, we've got some pictures and details of it.
Right.
And the big news is it's gray.
It is. And that gray dial is really what's grabbing everybody's attention.
Yeah, it's pretty striking.
Yeah, it gives the watch a really contemporary edge.
It does.
And the specs are mostly familiar. It's still very much a Belisar chronograph.
Right.
But that new color palette just really sets it apart.
Yeah, it's a very different look.
Yeah, it's definitely a step away from some of the, overtly vintage designs in the lineup.
Right.
And I think that's exciting.
Yeah, so let's run through the specs because this is a watch that doesn't shy away.
It does not.
It's a 44 millimeter stainless steel case.
Mm-hmm.
Over 15 millimeters thick.
Yep. 15.01 to be exact.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
right on the dot.
Attention to detail,
Yeah, and almost 53 millimeters lug to lug.
Yeah, 52.99.
Okay, so it wears. I mean, it's going to wear like a substantial watch.
It's going to have a presence on the wrist.
It's going to have a presence.
Yeah, you're definitely going to know you're wearing it.
But not absurd. I mean, it's not like an oversized.
No, it's definitely within the realm of what's considered, wearable and comfortable for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it's not going to, disappear on your wrist either.
Right. It's not a dress watch.
Exactly.
And speaking of its kind of robust nature, we've
Yeah.
got that sapphire crystal with AR coating on both sides.
Yep, double AR coated.
Nice.
Yeah, so you're going to get a really clear view of that beautiful dial.
And a screw down sapphire case back.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see the movement.
Yeah.
Lateral screws.
Yep, all those details just speak to the quality of the construction.
And 100-meter water resistance.
Which is perfect for everyday wear.
Yeah.
You can swim with it. You don't have to worry about getting it wet.
Yeah. You don't have to baby it.
No, not at all.
What else about the case do we need to know?
Well, I think it's worth pointing out the pump pushers.
Yeah, those are cool.
They have those nice engraved start, stop, and reset symbols,
Oh, right.
which is a really cool little detail.
Yeah.
And then the sign crown, of course.
Yeah.
Just nice little touches that show that they really put some thought into the design.
Yeah, those are details that I like.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so let's talk about this dial.
Okay, let's dive into the dial.
That silver gray dial.
Yeah.
So we got the combined tachymeter and pulsometer scale.
Yes, so that's something you see on a lot of vintage chronographs.
Yeah.
But I think it works really well here in this modern context.
What kind of wearer do you think appreciates that, a tachymeter and a pulsometer?
I think it appeals to people who appreciate both the technical side of watches
Yeah.
and the history of watches.
Okay.
So the tachymeter obviously is for measuring speed over a known distance.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, is something that race car drivers used to use back in the day.
Right.
And then the pulsometer is for measuring your heart rate,
Okay.
which doctors used to use.
Right.
So it's got this really cool kind of historical connection.
Yeah.
But it's also still relevant today.
Right.
People are still interested in tracking their speed and their heart rate.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little blend of form and function.
Yeah. So it's got that vintage vibe, but it's still useful.
Exactly.
And then we've got printed hour indices with Super-LumiNova dots.
Yes, instead of numerals,
Right.
which I think is a smart choice.
Keeps it clean.
Yeah, it keeps the dial from feeling cluttered.
Right.
And the Super-LumiNova dots obviously provide great legibility in low light conditions.
Right.
So you can still easily tell the time, even if it's dark.
Nice.
And then we've got those matte black subdials with the silver colored rings.
Yeah, that's a nice touch.
Yeah, it creates some visual depth and contrast.
Right.
And it really emphasizes those chronograph functions.
And then we've got some red accents on the subdials
Yes.
and the hands and the pulsometer scale,
Yeah.
which I think is a really nice pop of color.
It does. It really makes it stand out.
Yeah, it's sporty.
Yeah.
But it's not overdone.
Yeah.
It's just a little touch of red to kind of liven things up.
Yeah, I like it.
And then the hour-minute hands are nickel-plated with Super-LumiNova.
Nice.
So you can easily see the time no matter what the lighting conditions are like.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the dial's really well executed.
It's very legible.
Yeah, it's very
I
legible.
like that.
Easy to read at a glance.
So the movement inside is the UNG 27.S1 caliber,
Yep, which is based on the ETA Valjoux 7753.
which is a workhorse movement.
Oh yeah, tried and true.
Yep.
You know, it's been around for a long time.
Right.
It's known for its reliability.
Yeah.
It's a solid choice for a chronograph.
And they've added a silicon balance spring.
Yes,
Yeah.
which is a really important upgrade.
I was going to say, is that something that's new or?
It is new for this movement.
Okay.
And it's a really big deal because silicon is essentially immune to magnetic fields,
Oh, okay.
which are becoming more and more prevalent in our lives.
Right, because you got phones and computers and everything else.
Exactly.
And it's funny because I never really thought about that with watches, but.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that a lot of people don't think about.
Right.
But magnetic fields can really mess with the accuracy of a mechanical watch.
Okay.
So by using a silicon balance spring, you're essentially eliminating that problem.
So you're getting a more accurate watch.
Oh, exactly.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a really clever solution.
And then it's got a 65-hour power reserve.
Yep, which is very convenient.
That's very nice.
Yeah, you can take it off on Friday night,
Right.
put it back on Monday morning, and it'll still be running.
Yeah, you don't have to reset it.
Exactly.
Very nice.
And then in terms of straps, it comes on a stainless steel bracelet
Yep.
with a quick change system.
Oh, that's always a good thing.
Yeah, it's super convenient.
You can easily swap out the bracelet for a leather strap or a NATO strap.
So you can dress it up, dress it down.
Exactly.
Very nice.
So it's a very versatile watch.
And the price is 3,100 euros.
Yep. VAT included.
Which I think is very reasonable
Yeah. I think it's a very competitive price.
for what you're getting.
Yeah, for the quality of the movement, the build quality, the design.
Yeah.
I think it's a really strong value proposition.
And they said this gray dial is going to be a permanent part of the collection,
It is. Yeah.
which means that they must have some confidence in it.
Yeah, they're not just testing the waters. They
Yeah.
think this is a winner, and I think they're right.
So overall, then, it sounds like we've got kind of a familiar platform with the Belisar Chronograph.
Yeah.
But this gray dial really kind of elevates it.
It does. It gives it a really fresh, modern look.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to appeal to a lot of people who maybe weren't considering the Belisar Chronograph before
Right.
because they thought it was a little bit too, vintage looking.
Too traditional.
Yeah,
This is a little more modern.
exactly.
So here's a thought for you listening.
Okay.
We talk a lot about movements and complications and all that.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think it's easy to forget how much of a difference a dial color can make.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, this gray dial completely changes the personality of this watch.
It really does. Yeah.
So I would just encourage you to think about that.
Yeah.
The next time you're looking at a watch,
Mm-hmm.
maybe step outside your comfort zone a little bit
Yeah.
and try something new.
Experiment with different colors,
Yeah.
different textures. It
Good
can
time.
really change the way you feel about a watch.
Yeah, and if you like what you see with this gray Belisar chronograph,
Mm-hmm.
maybe check out some of the other Union Glashütte watches.
Yeah, they make some really great stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely worth exploring.
All right, well, thanks for taking the deep dive with us today.
Absolutely my pleasure.
We'll see you next time.
Sounds good.